Heartwarming revelation. Black CEO discovers no tables at her own restaurant 5 minutes later. A block party breaks out. Angela Johnson stood outside Unity Table, her heart pounding, a whirlwind of excitement swirling inside her. The grand opening was finally here. After years of sweat, determination, and every late-night planning session filled with her grandmother's words of wisdom echoing in her mind, Angela had turned her dream into reality. The restaurant was not just a culinary venture. It was a platform to showcase the rich tapestry of her culture and the diverse community she loved. Friends and family gathered nearby, their energy palpable, as she prepared to unlock the doors. But as Angela swung the door wide open, her stomach dropped. The dining room was void of life. Empty chairs stared at her, unaccompanied by jubilant laughter or the clinking of forks against plates. Panic crept in like a fog, wrapping around her heart. Just moments ago, she had envisioned tables filled with patrons, savoring her lovingly crafted dishes, united in joy. Instead, only silence met her. The weight of economic struggles hung heavily in the air, reminding her of how many local businesses had succumbed to despair. As tears threatened to spill, Angela remembered the stories her grandmother shared, tales of resilience, of standing tall in the face of adversity. Angela could hear her words. "Show the world your strength, my dear." With that spark ignited within her, she wiped away the sting of disappointment and hit the pavement. She had a community to rally. "Hey everyone! We're hosting a spontaneous block party," Angela shouted as she dashed down the street. Her friends and neighbors looked at her curiously at first, but soon smiles broke out. Someone started drumming on a trash can, and before long others joined in. The rhythm grew infectious. The warmth of their laughter spilled into Unity Table, transforming it into the heart of a celebration. As the crowd gathered, filled with the palpable joy of shared connections, she felt a surge of hope. The community filled her restaurant with life. Voices of children, chatter of families, and the aroma of food wafted through the air. Everything seemed perfect until Angela caught a glimpse of her phone. A headline from a local paper flashed across the screen. The article questioned her authenticity, laced with prejudices that stung deep. Anger rose within her. The unfairness of it all left her reeling. The very people she sought to unite were now pitted against her words. She hesitated, feeling the tears prick her eyes again. How could she fight back against this? Every fiber of her being screamed for retreat, yet her grandmother's lessons echoed louder, reminding her, "Stand up for what is right." Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined, Angela meticulously crafted her response, pouring her heart onto the page. Just when she felt the tide of doubt swell, a wave of support flooded in from her community. Friends organized an impromptu gathering outside her restaurant, encouraging more neighbors to rally behind her. Yet even in this moment of solidarity, she felt the gnawing worry: could she truly bring about unity in a world that often casts shadows of division? Standing in front of her restaurant, the lively voices of her community ringing out like a promise, Angela took a deep breath. Hope intertwined with worry, and uncertainty lingered in the air. A sense of pride swelled in her chest, pushing against the fear. Could the love and spirit surrounding Unity Table be enough to overcome the barriers built by prejudice? The evening drew closer, and as she gazed out at the faces of those who believed in her dream, she knew this would be a pivotal moment in her journey. The question hung in the balance. Was she ready to be the change she so deeply wished to see in the world? Angela stood there, her heart racing amid cheers and laughter, feeling the pulse of her community all around her. Each face beaming back at her felt like a small fire igniting within her, dispelling the dark shadows cast by doubts and criticism. Yet, the article buzzed in her mind like an annoying fly. Why were people so quick to judge? Her intent was pure. Her passion was real. As she glanced around, a little girl tugged at her pant leg, her eyes wide with joy, holding a paper plate piled high with soul food samples. "Miss Angela, "This is the best food ever," she exclaimed. The simple compliment cut through the noise of anxiety, reminding Angela why she had started this venture in the first place, to bring joy and togetherness. With a deep breath, Angela stepped to the front of the crowd, her voice rising above the music. "Thank you all for being here tonight. This is about more than just a restaurant. It's about community, love, and respect." Cheers erupted, and as she spoke, there was a shift in the air. Her passion resonated. She felt small yet mighty, connected to every person standing under the golden glow of fading daylight. Yet, in the back of her mind, that nagging worry persisted: how to respond to the hostile narrative without losing the goodwill surrounding her. A neighbor approached, holding up a tape recorder. "Angela, can we get your thoughts after what happened?" he asked, squinting through the setting sun. The question filled her with apprehension. Did she really want to face this again? But as she looked back at all the faces radiating support, a sense of purpose ignited. "Yes, I want to speak out," she replied, her voice steady. The crowd quieted as she began to share her truth, her words flowing with genuine emotion. "I stand for every story, every struggle, and every beautiful moment that has built our community. Prejudice tries to drive us apart. Instead, we're here tonight, living proof that love will always win." As she spoke, surprise transformed into smiles, and the negative energy began to dissipate. People nodded, understanding washing over their faces. Yet her heart still felt heavy. Would her words be enough? Were they enough to combat the damaging narrative? When she finished, the crowd burst into applause, waves of affirming energy washing over her. Just then her phone buzzed again. It was another notification. As she glanced at the screen, the brief hope vanished. The headline was worse than the first. "Local chef accused of cultural appropriation." Her stomach twisted. Breath caught in her throat. The weight of that accusation loomed larger than all the joy around her. She felt exposed, vulnerable. The peace that once filled her heart was now tinged with fear. But as she searched the crowd for solace, her eyes landed on the little girl smiling proudly, waving her plate. Thoughts of defeat began to fade, replaced by a growing resolve. If a child could feel the joy her food brought, so could every person in her community. Angela decided to take action. "Tomorrow we're hosting a community forum, right here at Unity Table," she announced, her voice carrying a strength she didn't fully feel yet. "Bring your voices, your ideas, and your love. Let us talk and celebrate together." Cheers erupted once again. Yet there in the back of her mind, the article still lingered. Could it be that her mission to foster unity had just begun to put her in a much larger battle? As the sun descended, painting the sky with vibrant hues, Angela smiled at her community, but a twinge of uncertainty clawed at her heart. This was more than just a restaurant now. It was a heartbeat of change, but how would she navigate the rocky road ahead? She had the love of her community, but would that be enough to fend off the shadows threatening to engulf her dream? The night wrapped around them, full of warmth, yet swirling with unanswered questions. Angela awoke the next morning with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The sun streamed through her window, casting a warm glow that felt comforting. Yet, there it was again, the nagging thought of the article from last night. She pushed through her morning routine, half focused on making the perfect pot of coffee, while the other half of her mind raced with possible conversations for the community forum later that day. As she arrived at Unity Table, the smell of fresh bread began to waft through the air, mingling with the sound of sizzling vegetables and herbs on the grill. But despite the aromas enticing her senses, anxiety gnawed at her. Would anyone show up? Would they care enough to listen? The restaurant's atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Tables were set with care, each one adorned with colorful flower arrangements. Yet, as Angela scanned the sprawling dining area, worry crept in. No one was yet seated. "Angela," called Leo, her kitchen manager, stepping out from the back, his hands dusted with flour. "Do you think we should go over the agenda one more time?" Angela shook her head, feeling the weight of everything pressing down. "I think we just need to open our hearts and listen to each other," she replied, though uncertainty clawed at her. As the clock ticked closer to the start time, she forced herself to breathe deeply, soaking in the warmth of the kitchen and the buzzing hum of the people working. Finally, the first guests trickled in, followed by more and more until chairs squeaked under the weight of hopefuls eager to have their voices heard. Angela took her place at the front, her heart racing yet fueled by the sight of her friends and neighbors gathering around her tables. She had invited people from all different backgrounds, hoping to ignite a meaningful conversation. "Welcome, everyone," she said, projecting her voice confidently over the chatter. "Today we come together as a family, and I'm so grateful for each of you. Let us share our stories, our thoughts, and let us truly listen to one another." The discussions flowed like the food being served, rich and hearty. People spoke of their dreams, their challenges, and the tapestry of experiences that made their community vibrant. Angela felt a growing warmth in her chest, but amidst the laughter and clinking glasses, every now and then, a worried gaze shot her way, the questions of accusations hanging in the air still unaddressed. As one particularly passionate speaker expressed their concerns about inclusion and representation within the restaurant scene, Angela felt a wave of gratitude rise up in her. "Thank you for sharing that," she interjected gently. "Your voice and those experiences are vital. It reminds us how we can ensure everyone feels valued." Just as a sense of understanding began to settle over the room, Angela's phone buzzed again. An unknown number flashed on the screen. Reluctantly, she picked it up, frowning at the sight of another notification. When she opened it, disbelief washed over her. The headline read, "Unity Table's Community Forum Exposes Chef's Past." Her heart sank. Images from her past flickered like ghosts before her, the struggles, the late nights, the mistakes. What could this possibly mean? "Everything okay?" Leo's voice broke through her thoughts, his brow furrowed with concern. She forced a smile despite the chaos inside. "Yeah, just looking at a message." As she glanced back at the people who had come to support her, the warmth of their presence shone brighter than the darkness threatening to pull her under. Still, the turmoil inside her heart couldn't be ignored. She knew the conversation had to turn. "Can we take a moment to share some more of our stories?" she asked, her voice catching slightly. "Because I think maybe we have something valuable here that could change the way we see each other." The crowd leaned forward, eager. Angela could feel that they were ready to dive deeper, ready to tackle those shadows head-on. But would they still stand with her when they uncovered the truth? As the forum continued, each heartbeat resonated more strongly than the last. The unity felt so palpable. Yet Angela knew the past might just try to unravel it all. How would she confront the truths that lay ahead, the good, the bad, and the inevitable storm? With every passing moment, the stakes grew higher. And just when Angela thought she could navigate this path, a sudden shout from the back of the room turned heads sharply. What could it be? How would it impact everything she had worked for? The shout echoed through Unity Table, abrupt and startling. Angela turned, her heart pounding. The room stilled, with every set of eyes darting toward the back, where a figure stood silhouetted against the light streaming through the door. "Excuse me," a woman called out, voice ringing clear. Anxiety and anger flashed across her face. "I just got here, and I want to know why I read an article about you that misrepresents who you are." Angela felt a wave of fear wash over her. She wanted to disappear, to hide from the truth that seemed to hang in the air. This was supposed to be a moment of unity, of healing. But now it felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff, gazing into the stormy waters below. "What do you mean?" Angela shouted back, desperation creeping into her words. The woman's expression tightened. "I mean this. The headline says you're a fraud. It claims you've been lying about your community involvement, your connections. All of it. Why should any of us trust you?" The tension in the air was thick enough to slice through. Angela felt her stomach knot. Her mind raced, recalling each painful decision she had made along the way. The night spent alone, the sweat poured into the restaurant, the heart she had tried to put into every dish. And yet here she was, facing an accusation that threatened to unravel everything she had built. "Please," she said slowly, trying to control the tremor in her voice. "I can't deny the past, but I'm also not the person I once was. I've fought hard to be part of this community, to build understanding. I never meant to mislead anyone." A murmur rose among the guests, uncertainty rippling through the crowd. Some people nodded in understanding, while others looked skeptical, eyes darting between Angela and the woman. It dawned on Angela that trust was a fragile thing. The very foundation she thought was strong was now shaky at best. "People make mistakes," Angela continued, her voice steadier now. "But what matters is what we do with those mistakes. I want to own my past, to share it with you, and to show you how I've changed. I'm here to listen, not just to speak. The mysterious woman crossed her arms but remained quiet. A heartbeat passed, then another as the silence grew heavy. Look, Angela added, her heart racing. Let us talk about it. If I'm to be transparent, it starts here. Right now. Ask me anything. We're in this together. With trembling hands, she stepped down from where she stood, moving to the center of the room. Today isn't just about me. It's about all of us, about facing our shared challenges. Let us address them together. The crowd seemed to shift, some leaning in, others still weighed down by skepticism. A woman in the front row raised her hand. Okay, Angela, how did your past shape your vision for this restaurant? Feeling the heaviness lift, a spark of hope ignited within her. My earlier years were full of mistakes, yes. I was trying so hard to play the role of chef that I lost sight of what it means to build a community. I wanted success so badly that I chased it without looking around. But these experiences made me realize that real success comes from belonging and inclusion. And that's what I believe Unity Table is truly about. As she spoke, the room grew warmer, faces softening with understanding. It felt like a shift, as if both she and her neighbors were embarking on a journey together instead of standing apart. Then, the woman who had first spoken up finally nodded. I appreciate that. But you need to show us your commitment. It's more than just words. Angela's chest tightened. Absolutely. How can I do better? That's what I want to hear. The discussion unfolded with renewed energy, everyone eager to dig deeper. Buoyed by engagement, Angela felt the weight of accusations begin to fade. Yet just when the topic began to shift to solutions, another loud noise erupted from outside, a siren, shrill and urgent. The room froze again. Would this be a sign of something worse? Or the start of a new chapter that might change everything? What was happening outside? And could it somehow alter the discussions unfolding inside Unity Table? Angela's heart raced, wondering if she was ready for whatever was coming next. Angela's heart thudded in her chest as the siren wailed outside. It cut through the atmosphere, a harsh reminder that the world beyond Unity Table was chaotic, unpredictable. She felt the eyes of the crowd upon her, judging, questioning. Would they turn on her again if things spiraled out of control? Let us stay focused, Angela urged, raising her hands. We have to know what's happening, but we can't let it derail our conversation. People began to murmur, the fear and speculation rising. Angela could see the woman who had initially accused her, her arms still crossed but her brow now slightly furrowed in concern. With that flicker of vulnerability, a new opportunity took root within Angela, inviting dialogue not just about her past, but about the future they could forge together. Let us take a moment to breathe, a man from the back suggested, his voice breaking through the anxious chatter. Maybe we can look out the window, check what's happening? A few people nodded, shifting toward the windows while Angela seized the moment. That's a good idea. As we do, I want to ask you all a question. What does trust mean to you? I think it's at the core of everything we're discussing tonight. The buzz of conversation quieted, heads turned back to her, searching for expectations that might surpass their doubts. To me, trust means knowing that we can count on each other, regardless of our backgrounds or mistakes, she said. It means being open like I'm trying to be right now. It's a fragile thing, I know, but it's also powerful, isn't it? A few people nodded, and she sensed the budding willingness to re-engage. A familiar warmth settled in her. This was it, the connection she craved. That woman, Angela gestured to the accuser, her name still unfound. You weren't wrong to ask your questions. You cared enough to challenge me. And that is love in its rawest form. You want the best for our community. I want that too. I do, the woman replied, her tone softening. But how do we ensure you really mean that? Angela took a deep breath, preparing herself. Let us create a community board. A place where we can voice our concerns. You will hold me accountable, and we can work out strategies together. How does that sound? More heads nodded, this time with genuine interest. Angela felt the foundation beneath her feet harden as they moved forward, with discussions swirling about new initiatives, improving communication, and upcoming events designed to bridge the gaps her past had created. But just as hope seemed to take root, the sound of the sirens grew louder, blending into the energetic discussions. Then there came a loud knock at the door, abrupt and jarring, causing everyone to jump. Angela's heart sank. Who is it? Someone shouted out, fear creeping back into the room. It's the police. We need to talk. A voice came from behind the door, urgency palpable. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd like wildfire. Angela felt the weight of it all again. Would their conversation about accountability and trust be flooded by crisis? Let me handle this, she said, uncertain but resolved. She moved toward the door, ready to face whatever storm awaited her on the other side. Along with the future of Unity Table, what could the police possibly want? Would they help solve the brewing tension? Or would it deepen the divide even further? Angela pushed open the door, leaning into the unknown, hoping to emerge stronger on the other side. Angela opened the door slowly, the uncertainty swirling around her like a thick fog. The police officer on the other side stood with his arms crossed, his face a mask of concern. She could see his partner just behind him, scanning the room with a watchful gaze. Ma'am, we need to speak to you and the gathered community about a situation developing outside, the officer said, his voice firm but calm. A knot tightened in her stomach. The people behind her were still murmuring, exchanging glances that danced between fear and curiosity. She took a breath, mentally shifting back into the role she had just embraced so passionately. Is it about the sirens? Angela asked, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. Yes, he replied. We received calls about a potential disturbance in the area. We need to ensure everyone here is safe. The word safe hung in the air like a lifeline. Angela turned back to the crowd, their faces a mix of anxiety and anticipation. Let us hear them out, she said, inviting the officers in, her heart racing as they stepped inside Unity Table, bringing with them an air of authority and urgency. Please sit down, Angela continued, gesturing to a table in the corner. The officers exchanged reluctant glances but moved to comply. She settled herself close, ensuring she didn't create a barrier between them and the community. The murmurs quieted as the officers began to explain the situation. A gathering nearby had escalated, and they were concerned that it might spill over into their community. We want to ask you all to stay in here for your safety until we can ensure the area is secure, the partner added. Angela felt the tension spiral again, the undertow of panic threatening to pull her under. Okay, she said, grabbing the moment, but let us not let fear take away our progress. We will respect this request, but we also need to come together now more than ever. Our community has faced challenges before, she continued, her voice gaining strength. Just like we are building trust with each other, we can build resilience. We need to support one another. A few nods followed and faces softened. Angela sensed the grounding they all needed. It was a chance for her to remind them of their shared strength. Let us share ideas, she said, encouraging participation. We've begun discussing ways to communicate better, and I think this is a perfect moment for brainstorming shifts that will keep our Unity Table strong. A woman, who had been sitting at the edge of her seat, raised her hand. What if we organize informal gatherings right here? Listening sessions where we could check in on one another. Another shouted, yes. Let others take turns sharing their stories too. Angela smiled, feeling hope flow through the room again. And we can start it next week. Let us plan some schedules right now. The idea was catching on, and as the discussions flowed, it felt like they were stitching their community back together one idea at a time. But as they worked, a loud crash echoed from outside, breaking their moment of connection. Angela's heart dropped. Is everyone okay? She asked, urgency creeping back in. The officers exchanged quick glances, their expressions shifting as the murmurs deepened. Stay where you are, one of them ordered, pulling out his radio. The unseen chaos beyond the walls crept into the edges of her reality, threatening to disrupt the fragile peace they had just built. Angela's instincts kicked in. Would they be able to forge a stronger bond among them in the face of fear? Let us hold on to what we started, Angela said, her voice cutting through the rising tension. Whatever happens outside, we stay united inside. But something deep inside her whispered that this wouldn't be easy. What if the real test was lurking just around the corner, ready to change everything? As shouts echoed in the distance, Angela wondered if they were ready for whatever storm was about to break. The weight of uncertainty filled the air, thick and palpable. But her heart ached for the connections they were forming. Would they manage to hold on when the real challenge struck? The sound of glass shattering and the sharp cries from outside sent a chill through the room. Angela's skin prickled with every echoing shout. It felt like the world outside was closing in, as if they were all caught in a tightening vice. Everyone shifted restlessly, eyes darting to the door, then back to one another, caught between fear and the need for connection. "Everyone, please." Angela raised her voice, striving to be a beacon in the gathering storm. "Focus on me. Breathe with me." She inhaled deeply, lifting her arms slightly, her gesture inviting others to join her. A few of them mirrored her, slowly returning to calmer breaths. It was small, but it helped ground her, and she hoped it did the same for others. The police officers remained alert, their communication radios crackling with fragmented instructions, but Angela diverted her attention back to the community around her. She could see faces drawn tight with worry, and she felt something urge her to act, to say something that could pierce through the tension like a ray of light. "We've faced challenges before," she reminded everyone, retracing her thoughts. "And we've always found our way through. Not alone but together." A loud crash sounded again, closer this time, and the officers shifted, instinctively moving into a defensive stance. "Stay back." One of them barked, but his voice faltered slightly, revealing the strain beneath their calm. Angela could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on them like a heavy blanket. "Let us remember why we are here," she implored the crowd. "We're united. We're building something together: trust, respect, and resilience. That doesn't vanish because of noise outside. We can choose to support one another." A young man, typically quiet, stood up. "Angela's right. We can't let this take away what we're trying to do. Let us keep talking. We can keep this going." Encouraged, murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Angela felt a warmth spreading, the kind of warmth that comes from shared purpose. They were shifting from a space of fear into one of resolve. Each meeting face seemed less like strangers and more like anchors they could all cling to. Then, just as hope began to blossom, the front door burst open. A duo of figures rushed inside, their eyes wide with urgency. Angela's heart leaped into her throat. "It's bad out there," one of the newcomers shouted, breathless. "There's a crowd causing trouble. They're asking for help. But it could escalate any moment." A wave of panic hit the group, faces paling once again. But Angela's instinct kicked in. "We need to do something," she urged, scanning the anxious expressions. "What can we do to help? How can we take action without putting ourselves at risk? Maybe we can send out a few strong voices to communicate with them," a woman suggested, her voice trembling but intent. Another shouted, "Let us create a message of peace. We can hold signs, show them we want to work together." Angela's heart raced with possibilities. They were beginning to think beyond their fear. "Yes, that's it. We can stand together in strength and unity. Show them we believe in peace, that fighting isn't the answer." Cautious optimism spread through her like a wildfire, feeding off the energy in the room. Yet, as they began forming plans, she'd never felt such a mix of emotions: fear of the unknown and hope in the power of togetherness. But just then they heard a loud crash followed by shouts coming from right outside their door. Angela's gut twisted. Could their efforts have been in vain? Was the moment they had built ready to vanish like shadows in the dusk? The choices they were about to make loomed over them, heavy with the promise of either unity or division. And as they prepared, a deafening roar erupted from the streets, shaking the very foundations of Unity Table. Did they have the courage to face the storm together? Or would the chaos tear them apart? The room fell silent, a collective breath held tight in every chest. The tension pulsed like a live wire. Angela could feel her heart thumping loud against the backdrop of chaos outside. She glanced around at the faces, some still pale and wide-eyed, but others were beginning to show determination. Hope flickered like a candle in the dark. "Let us move," she shouted, trying to drown out the cacophony from the streets. "We need to act now. Gather everything we can: signs, banners, anything that can show our message." A woman rushed forward, her hands trembling but filled with purpose. "I have poster boards in my car," she exclaimed, and without another word she dashed out, ready to face whatever awaited outside. Others began to rally together, voices rising in excitement and fear. Angela felt a strange mix of exhilaration and dread. She was leading them into the unknown, Yet she could see that every individual in that room had become a part of something larger than themselves. Let us write our message clearly. Another member of the group suggested. We can say unity over violence. Or together we rise. There was a chorus of agreement, and pens, markers, and colorful paper were hastily grabbed. Angela moved among them, encouraging their ideas, her spirit soaring as people took initiative. Each message they created became a brick in the wall they were building against the chaos outside. But as they worked, the shouts outside grew louder, more angry. The door rattled slightly as more people pressed against it, the sounds of clashes and shouting threatening to seep into the safe space they were constructing. Angela felt a surge of urgency. We have to be ready, she said. We'll face them together. We'll show them we want dialogue, not violence. The police officers shifted uneasily, their eyes flicking between Angela and the door. One of them stepped forward, his voice a low rumble. This is dangerous, Angela. We need to secure the area. I can't guarantee your safety out there. Angela met his gaze and felt the weight of the decision resting on her shoulders. What if they did nothing? What if they let fear win? She glanced back at the group, at the faces that had turned from fear to determination. Trust this community, Angela replied, her voice steady now. We're trying to promote peace. What we do now could change everything. We can't back down. The words hung in the air, thick with purpose. The room brimmed with an unshakable sense of community. Just as the energy peaked, the door finally gave way, a group of individuals spilling through, their eyes wild and desperate. The officers immediately moved to secure the doorway, but Angela stepped forward, raising her hands. Stop. We want to listen, she called out. We're here for peace, not conflict. Startled faces turned toward her. Anger and confusion danced in their eyes at first, but something began to shift. A palpable energy in the room filled with uncertainty. What would emerge from this convergence? As more voices filled the air, shouting their grievances, Angela stood firmly. She could see her friends behind her, wielding signs up high, a colorful display of hope against the backdrop of the storm brewing outside. The moment felt eternal, a delicate balance on the precipice. But as the tumult of voices clashed, Angela felt a flood of fear coiling in her stomach. Would her words carry over the noise? Would their message of unity be strong enough to pierce through the violence brewing outside? Or would they find themselves caught in a battle instead of a conversation? The crowd's tension hung thick as the shouts started to swell again, the chaos threatening to consume them all again. Could they really hold on to hope in this tumultuous moment? Would their courage withstand the rising tide of chaos? Before Angela could ponder further, a new voice broke through, sharp and commanding. Enough. Let us talk. What awaited them in this pivotal moment? The buzz in the room crackled like static, tension thick as fog as the authoritative voice cut through the agitation. Silence fell for a heartbeat, then voices lowered, curiosity piqued by the unexpected demand. A tall figure stepped forward, a man with striking presence. He held a certainty that felt like a lighthouse shine amidst the turmoil. I'm Malik, he announced, his voice much clearer now that the shouting faded slightly. We need to listen. Everyone's been shouting for too long. Angela blinked, her heart racing on an emotional roller coaster. She could feel the nervous energy pulse through the crowd, each person looking to her for direction, her bravery carrying whispers of hope. Let us hear him, she suggested, her voice shaky but determined. This is someone who wants to help. Maybe his words can bridge this gap. Malik's eyes scanned the room, meeting each gaze as though drawing strength from them. I know you feel lost, angry, but I see good here. There are better ways to channel our frustrations. We don't need to scream at one another. We need to talk. Then he turned to the newcomers, who still seemed uncertain, stuck between onslaught and resolution. What if we put down our weapons, our words, and our anger? What if we all promised to listen first? There was a hesitancy in the air. An older woman in the crowd, her face lined with concern, stepped forward. And what makes you believe we can trust you? Look around us. Our voices have been ignored. Malik nodded slowly, understanding washing over his features. I get it, and the experience of being unseen is frustrating and painful. But peace is not passive. Takes work. I believe that if we take a step toward understanding, we can find solutions. Whispers murmured among the group, voices woven thick with doubt and yearning. Angela's heart hammered in her chest. Trust was fragile. Could they dare to cross that bridge? Do you all want change? Malik asked, his eyes piercing through to every heart. Yes, a young man shouted from the back, his fists clenched with passion. But we need to fight for it. Fighting does not have to look like chaos, Malik replied gently. Can be conversations, outreach, connections. I promise to listen to your pain. But first you need to share it calmly. As Malik spoke, Angela felt something shift. She caught a glimpse of the flickering hope igniting between tense shoulders. Someone nudged her, and she turned to see a group of faces waiting, expectant. What do we do now? A voice asked, uncertain. This was uncharted territory. It felt too raw, too fragile to handle. What if they said the wrong thing? But witnessing the first embers of connection light up in the room sparked new resolve within Angela. Let us share our stories, each of us. No interruptions. Let our voices be heard like a chorus, rising together. The crowd felt it, the collective power and sincerity. All at once, people began to step forward, voices trembling but fierce with conviction. A woman with a pixie cut raised her hand, eyes gleaming. I want to tell you about the night I was afraid. Angela let herself feel the weight of this moment. A wave of vulnerability surging through the room. This was their turning point, the chance for healing. Still, lingering doubt flickered at the edges of her mind. Would this truly lead to understanding, or were they caught in a new storm? As the first confession spilled into the air, her heart raced. This was just the beginning. Was unity really attainable, or was it a fleeting mirage? What if this fragile openness cracked under the pressure of immutable scars? Would they find the strength to soften even hardened hearts? The chorus was about to rise, but in which direction? The room filled with the tremor of vulnerability as the first voice broke through, a small yet mighty representation of heartache, woven with resilience. Angela watched, captivated, as each story echoed, building a bridge of understanding that felt almost tangible. One after another, voices soared, each honest reflection stitching together the fabric of their community. I was terrified last week, the young woman confessed, her chin quivering. A friend was hurt just down the street, and I didn't know if it was safe to even walk home. The crowd responded with murmurs of shared fear, nodding in empathy, and Angela felt a wave of solidarity wash over them. Men and women began to rise, adding their narratives filled with heartbreak, hope, and the fine line between love and resentment. Each incident adding depth to the collective experience. With every declaration of pain came echoes of resilience. The energy shifted, fear turned to solidarity. Malik stepped back, lending the stage to them, a quiet sentinel watching the waves form. Angela felt the trust growing, swelling until it could burst forth, a light illuminating the darkened corners of their souls. She couldn't help but think back to her grandmother, those lessons of strength and unity whispering encouragement within her. Just remember, Angela interjected with gentle authority, centered by the shared stories. We don't have to agree, but understanding is the first step toward healing. A wave of consideration swept through the room, hearts following the rhythm of her words. The voices no longer felt torn apart by judgment. Instead, they began intertwining like threads in a tapestry, each story adding color to their shared narrative. Then a skeptical voice broke through. But how do we keep this going? How do we ensure our voices don't fade away when the crowd thins and the noise of the outside world returns? The question hung heavy, a reminder of the uncertainty that always lurked. Angela took a deep breath, grounding herself in the moment. We can cultivate a support network, she proposed, fueled by the energy in the room. A community coalition perhaps, where we can continue these conversations, create events, educate each other, and hold one another accountable. Together we can advocate for our needs and confront injustice. There was a pause, the weight of commitment resting on every shoulder. Slowly, hands shot up, eager to support the idea. Voices filled the air. And with every agreement, hope began to take shape, spiraling into something monumental. As they brainstormed, Angela's heart soared, pulsing with excitement. The fragments of doubt began to dissolve as strategies formed amid laughter and shared dreams. Ideas mingled freely, like the aromatic spices in the very dishes she served, filling the room with warmth. But outside, chaos still brewed. Shouts still clashed against their bubble of peace, an unseen reminder of the work that lay ahead. Yet, inside Unity Table, they found solace in one another. Seizing that moment of clarity, Angela stepped straight into the heart of the unyielding storm, standing tall. We will unite tonight, no matter what noise surrounds us. Trust each other, keep these fire-fueled conversations going, and let us take our messages beyond these four walls. We can be the change agents in our neighborhoods. Energetic voices churned up in agreement, determination unabashedly igniting their conversation like fireworks. Overflowing joy seeped from hearts illuminated by the resolve of purpose. They could stand together, fight against the opposition, and transform the narrative strung around them. As the energy peaked, the door swung open again, revealing a fresh face among the chaos, the woman who had first challenged Angela. Her brow was now wrinkled in scrutineering, but beneath her stern exterior was a glimmer of hope. I see everyone gathered here, she spoke, her voice weaving into the warm air, transforming past tension into potential. And I've reflected. We need to listen, learn, and also teach. I'm ready to be part of this coalition to mend what has been broken. The crowd murmured. A ripple of astonishment spread through the room. With a broad smile she stepped forward, joining Angela at the helm. In that heartbeat of recognition, Angela felt the unity bloom. The night was no longer defined by the dark echoes outside, but rather sparkled in the glint of possibility. One last roar erupted from the crowd, but this time it wasn't fear. It was a cacophony of voices intertwining in agreement, strength pulsing. A promise forged in love, rooted deep within the fabric of their shared humanity. They lifted their signs, and as the powerful glow of hope ignited unity table from the inside, Angela believed with all her heart that the fight ahead would be steep, but they would climb hand in hand. As they readied themselves to step into the night, Angela felt a profound conviction surging within. They weren't just standing against chaos. They were ushering in a new dawn. A community reborn, stronger than ever before. This was the moment everything changed together. Now this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss our next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every click makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this thrilling transformation. I want to hear from you. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting journey. Only true fans understand how vital it is to support our channel with these actions.